President-elect Trump last week nominated Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to serve as his Health and Human Services Secretary. Geez, who is your next choice? The Wuhan Bat?
The Wuhan Bat. Why such a racist response? These anti-Kennedy family Democrats, boy, when they turn on you, they really turn on you, don't they? Not even going to be invited back to the hot tub on Martha's Vineyard, I think. Hot tub. It's a crazy world, and Washington, D.C. is crazier than most of the rest of the world. We have Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is, he's on the target list of the would-be assassin party, the Democrat Party. Would be? Why do you say would be? I mean, look at all the people. Okay, all right. Yeah, the Trump cabinet is, it's a hotbed of political madness because the Democrats are a gang of violent savages. Baby slaughtering, all that stuff. They're pretty wacky, these people. We've got a ton of stuff for you, as you might expect, because, for example, in the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, even the Democrat governor there, a left-wing extremist who was almost chosen to be Kamala Harris's running mate, but it turned out he's a Jew. So you can't have the Jew on the ticket because, don't you know what party you're representing there? But the governor there, Governor Shapiro, he breaks weeks of silence. This is it. We're at 2 weeks now, right? 2 weeks since Election Day, because it's Tuesday today. And they lost, and America won, and freedom-loving people everywhere won, and that's a good thing. Unigender people won. The U.S. military won. The police won. Sanity won. National sovereignty won. And the Democrats lost. That means, when the Democrats lose, fewer murders, fewer crimes, fewer carjackings, fewer terrible things everywhere, which is good. But the Democrat governor there breaks weeks of silence in Pennsylvania Senate race because, the Democrats are still counting illegal ballots. They love illegal ballots. Why do they love illegal ballots, Michael? I want to know why they love illegal ballots, but they do. And, the reason is power. And because they think they can take another seat in the Senate, and integrity is not really their bag baby. They could care less about all these quaint, old-fashioned notions of integrity and honor, and they're against all that. But they're still counting. They're still counting ballots in Pennsylvania, and they're not alone there. There are Democrats still counting ballots in California. They're still counting ballots. Democrats are in a number of places. It's 2 weeks later. You people are fired. You are so fired. Where's Donald Trump when you need him? You're fired. Get out of here. Just leave. Leave the country. Go get on Barbra Streisand's plane. Get on her misspelled name plane because she's leaving, isn't she? Didn't say she's leaving. When is she leaving? We need to put, they put those tracker things on private jets so they can follow rock stars around and mock them for their carbon footprints while they preach about climate change on stage. And I think we need to put one of those trackers there. You don't really need a tracking device like an Apple tracker, but there are people that, based on the tail number of the airplane and what's publicly available information, civil aviation, you can track the tail numbers of airplanes. And we gotta keep tabs. Somebody has to, not me. I don't really care about Barbra Streisand. But when she leaves her $100 million oceanfront Malibu estate by helicopter, no doubt, to get to her jet, to leave the country, she said, I think she's going to London this time. And that's fine because a Gulfstream 6, even a Gulfstream 5, can fly nonstop from Santa Monica directly to London without refueling. So that's kind of nice. Thanks to the patriarchy and those beautiful Gulfstream jets that are built in Georgia, the United States of America, Georgia, not the Eastern Europe, Georgia. So we've got all kinds of, things like that going. But in Pennsylvania, even the Democrat governor is raising his hand and saying, hey, I know we're all a bunch of Democrats here, a bunch of wankers in a circle fest in a hot tub, but even he, the Democrat Shapiro, has to say, I don't think we should be, the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania has already ruled that we cannot count these votes that came in late with no dates and no signatures and, no verification of any kind. And the Democrats like, screw that. We're going to steal this Senate seat because we're a filthy gang of criminals, and that's that's what they're doing now. Amazing stuff. Man, oh man. Trump campaign. Here's a headline. Trump campaign official says Pennsylvania Dems will face jail time over ballot recount. Good, they should face jail time over the way that they're doing it. The Supreme Court in their own state has already ruled against them. And they said, screw that. We could care less what the law is. The law doesn't affect us. We ignore the law. We steal stuff. We're criminals. And that's the thing about this, kind of like illegal aliens, that, the illegal part is key to the whole thing. But this is great. A Trump official saying that Democrats in Pennsylvania will face jail time for the way that they're corruptly stealing votes, illegal votes, already ruled illegal by the state Supreme Court. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Womp, womp, womp. And, of course, the RNC and the RNC chair, there's the GOP, the Republicans, winning a lawsuit in Pennsylvania ballot battle. Now, why are we having a ballot battle 2 weeks after Election Day? Oh, it's because the Democrats are election deniers and they want to steal seats in the Senate. That's why. Why do I keep forgetting that, Michael, is that they're crooks and they're stealing for power because they're like third world, tree-swinging, banana republic, left-wing radical lunatics. Just amazing stuff. Oh, by the way, if it's kind of fun, if you like stuff like this, if you Google World War III, you can Google World War III now. You can do it either way, spell out the word 3, or you can do III, with the Roman numerals, because that could be World War III also, And now Joe Biden, it looks like, might be getting us into full-blown World War III before he leaves this planet, because he's a warmonger and he's a tool of the military-industrial complex. Newsweek magazine headline, could Biden's Ukraine missile move trigger World War III? And that's the headline of the Newsweek magazine. Experts' verdicts. And then they have the verdicts of the experts in their story here. And the Russians are saying, you guys, wait a minute, Joe Biden just sent and authorized the use of long-range missiles for the Ukrainians to fire into Russia to kill Russians in these acts of war. And the Russians, they said, well, wait a minute. This really involves directly the United States of America waging war against us and NATO nations, because the United States is a NATO nation. So Russia is saying, has NATO just declared war on Russia because of what Joe Biden has done? And it is the Russians who brought up World War III because the Democrat Party is reckless and dangerous and violent and criminally insane, and they'd steal a Senate seat and sacrifice whatever integrity and honor they may have once had, and got to qualify that with several asterisks. Donald Trump Jr. claims Biden administration military-industrial complex are trying to start World War III ahead of father's presidency. Isn't that amazing? But he's not the one who started the World War III rhetoric. It was the Ruskies under the communists, Vlad the Impaler Putin, who brought in communist troops from communist North Korea, the DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the North Koreans. They sent in thousands of troops, and maybe we're killing them now, too, with our missiles, because you know how Democrats love killing people on the streets of New York. And, did you see a Democrat murdered 3 people in a murder spree on the streets of New York yesterday in knife attacks. And he's like a crazy homeless person who's been in and out of jail. And the Democrats say, let's let him out again. What's the worst thing that could happen? And he's slashed with a giant knife and murdered 3 people, 1 woman and 2 men. And that's okay, because the Democrats, they feel good about themselves. They feel good. Like the lunatic on the subway train that Daniel Penny had to try to restrain while he was threatening to murder people and bragging about how he looks forward to spending the rest of his life in prison. He, too, a Democrat, Neely, definitely a Democrat. Amazing stuff. So now we're looking at the rumblings of World War III before Joe Biden goes, and Donald Trump Jr. saying, why are the Democrats making matters so much worse as they head toward the exits here? What's the matter, you? You got to know respect. Amazing stuff. And Ryan Fournier, a journalist, he's got a Twitter account. It's X now. I don't know if you heard about that. And he points out the election was 13 days ago. This was last night. And he said, Illinois is still counting votes, Democrats. California is still counting votes, Democrats. North Carolina is still counting votes. I know that it's the Democrats in North Carolina that are still counting votes. They had the hurricane excuse and stuff, so they might have a note from their doctor. Pennsylvania is still counting votes because the Democrats are defying the law. They're breaking the law, breaking the law, bump, bump. And the Democrats are fine with breaking law, and they just want to steal one more seat in the Senate, so the margin is not as great as it currently is, 53 to 47 seats, 53 to 47 votes in the United States Senate, so that, when Donald Trump gets another Supreme Court pick, which I hope will be real soon, I think that'd be pretty hilarious. Uh-oh, our fire alarm is going off. I think it's time to evacuate the building. Or turn the fire alarm off, one or the other, I'm not sure. Pennsylvania is still counting votes. Georgia is still counting votes. Arizona is still counting votes because Democrats are trying to steal stuff in Arizona. And Ryan Fournier votes, looks like we were able to turn the fire alarm off, so that was pretty good. I'm happy about that. Now, Michael, is there a fire? Yeah, I don't think so. If there is, then we'll get out because, But Ryan Fournier writes, so all these states, Illinois, California, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and North Carolina, still counting votes 2 weeks later. And Ryan Fournier writes, we all know what's happening. And the Democrats, even the Democrat governor, he wants to be president someday. But the Democrats will never support him because he's the Jew. Can't have the Jew, for crying out loud. Everybody knows that. Amazing stuff. And we've got everywhere you look. This is a lot of fun. Everywhere you look. We had a soccer game last night, the United States USA soccer team. Some call it football. And they're playing Jamaica. Hey, welcome to Jamaica. Have a nice day. And the Americans, they scored a goal. They won, by the way. The Americans won because we're getting better at that game, too, now that we're playing it a little bit. And an American kicked the ball, and he kicked a goal, and he did the Trump dance. I'm going like this. He did the Trump dance. It's now known as the Trump dance, and you see it everywhere. College football games, NFL football games, boxing. You see it at the UFC fights. You see the Trump dance everywhere. It's a cultural phenomenon, isn't it? It's quite remarkable. And so Trump is creating a new dance. Joe Biden is creating World War III. I'll take the guy with the dance. I prefer the guy with the dance. And that's just me. I'm kind of old-fashioned when it comes to dance versus World War. I'm against World War. I'm for dancing. I don't do it a lot myself because I'm too good, too talented. Really, it shames other people on the dance floor, so I try not to do too much of that. But we got lots of stuff. Joe Biden risking World War III with missile decision, the Russians say, because, they get to say. Russian lawmaker says in late October, Vlad the Impaler Putin, said that Russia's defense ministry was working on different ways to respond if the United States and its NATO allies help Ukraine to strike deep into Russia with long-range Western missiles. Well, that has happened now. And so are we talking Joe Biden's global apocalypse? Because they're Russia. They're commies running the place, Vlad the Impaler Putin. Democrats like to lie and say he's a conservative because their brains aren't worth a damn, are they? They just don't work at all. ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, Democrats all over the country saying they'll fight against deportations of illegal aliens because they're pro-crime and pro-criminal. And in Massachusetts, where all the Democrats, the governor and the mayor of Boston, well, we're not going to let people be deported. And then they were all killed by gang members from Venezuela. It was sad and kind of funny at the same time. Tren de Aragua, everybody's favorite Venezuelan street gang and prison gang, has set up shop in 16 states, according to Homeland Security. 16 states. We got FEMA corruption on parade on Capitol Hill today with the director of FEMA up there explaining why they targeted Trump people. because there are Democrats on the loose, we have LGBTQ stories and other essential stories as well. Miss Universe. There was a Miss Universe winner declared, and amazingly, it's not Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, Ella Emhoff, who they told us was the most beautiful woman in the world. But she wasn't the most beautiful woman at Bergen-Belsen, let me tell you. And we are at 888-630-9625.
And by the way, if I got to go to war, I'm going with you guys.
That's funny. Well, we had a fun fire alarm. We had a fire alarm go off in the studio a little while ago. Turns out that, as far as we can tell, there was no fire. It's not that big a building, so we'd probably know by now. But we did get a nice text from a brilliant listener, Pat Miller, who said, must have been Representative Jamal Bowman pulled the fire alarm, wanted to delay a vote. See, because when you're a Democrat, you can pull fire alarms to delay votes. That's an insurrection. That's obstructing Congress.
No, I don't know why this has gotten so much attention. I was literally just in a rush to go vote, man.
He was literally just in a rush to go vote, so he went downstairs and pulled a fire alarm. And you know how he is. As Jamal Bowman, he's a Democrat congressman. I think he got booted, didn't he? I think he's not coming back. Isn't that right? I think he got primaried out. I think five-alarm Bowman, he's not coming back if I understand that correctly. And is it true about Stephen King? Because Stephen King he writes scary movies and scary books that become scary movies and all of that good stuff. Because we got to know Stephen King, the author, he vowed that if Trump won the presidential race in 2024, that he would have to throw himself into a wood chipper, which would not be very comfortable, I think. Would you go, if you're going wood chipper, would you go and you're throwing yourself in? How would you do that? Would you go head first? I think Stephen King would have to go head first, wouldn't he? And sprayed, he'd want to make sure that he sprayed all over something that mattered. Yeah, these crazy Democrats, they're nuts. Stephen King vows to throw himself into a wood chipper if Donald Trump wins the 2024 presidential election. And that's better than Barbara Streisand, who just said she's going to move to London. That's not very bold or brave at all. Honestly, I'd rather see Stephen King move to London and Barbara Streisand throw herself into a wood chipper. But that's me. You got to make good on your promises if you're gonna make promises like this, and you've got a reputation of some kind, then. I like this headline. Whoopi Goldberg avoids the elephant in the room after bakery dispute unravels. Now, how exactly does, honestly, Whoopi Goldberg avoid the elephant in the room? That's what I want to know. Also, speaking of elephants in the room, the headline at the Fox News Channel today, Haitian migrants. Remember the Haitian migrants? Haitian, eating your cats and dogs? And that's why the elephant in the room, Haitian migrants reportedly flee Springfield, Ohio, in wake of Trump's sweeping win. Trump's sweeping win has the Haitian migrants fleeing Springfield, Ohio, where the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, threw Haitian illegal aliens by the thousands into Springfield, Ohio, and said, let them deal with it. Come on, it's not Martha's Vineyard or anything. We'd drag them out of here using the National Guard and throw them into a military base on Cape Cod where they'd never be seen or heard from again. But Haitian migrants who had settled, I guess they didn't settle in too deep, in Springfield, Ohio over the last few years have reportedly left in the wake of President-elect Trump's sweeping election win. Last night I was doing my excellent and fun television show on the Newsmax channel. Perhaps you've seen it, 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And we have a nice time talking about the news of the day and occasionally making a lot of fun of the idiots that are making the news. And, boy, there are a lot of idiots making the news, aren't they? Amazing stuff. But we're talking about that, and we're talking about these sanctuary idiots. There are a lot of sanctuary idiots. They're all Democrats. Every stinking, odoriferous one of them. Every oleaginous one of them. A Democrat. They're all Democrats. And remarkable stuff. The crooks that are Democrats in Pennsylvania and Bucks County looking to steal the Senate election by counting votes that the state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania has already said are illegal votes. They're not dated. They're not stamped. They're not signed. They're not legal. And the Democrats like, screw that. We're counting them anyway because we're filthy criminals. Filthy criminals. Amazing stuff. I was talking to a nice guy yesterday, Eric, who was doing some work at our building, and talking to him, a good listener, and he's like, yeah, the filthy you're talking about, yeah, calling them filthy. I love that. The filthy, they're all filthy. And that's true, they are all filthies. I think the filthies, it's my old friend Joey used to always call the lefties the filthies. He'd call them the filthies, like it's a Saturday morning cartoon or something. The filthies. But while the filthies, the filthy Democrats in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, are looking to steal the Senate election by counting what they know to be illegal votes, and even their own Supreme Court in the state of Pennsylvania has said you can't count those. Those are illegal votes. And the Democrats said, we don't care. We're going to count them anyway. Because why would we care? We're a gang of criminals. We raise criminals. Keep in mind the problem is not our guns, it's their sons. And with the Democrats, it's your sons. The problem is not our guns, it's your sons. Stop raising criminals. We'd be very grateful if you could do that. Isn't that amazing? As it is. Now, let me get to some audio because I do have a lot of stories to get to, don't I? Yes, I do. And let's go to the Pennsylvania stuff, because the Democrats, they're doing everything they can to steal the Senate seat in Pennsylvania, which they lost. It was called, when was it called? 10 days ago. And the Democrats are like, it remind me of Trading Places, the Randolph and Mortimer Duke, Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici, the old rich guys, and they're stealing all of the frozen concentrated orange juice money at the New York Stock Exchange when they run out of time to steal all the frozen concentrated orange juice stock. And Randolph and Mortimer, who is it? Randolph having a heart attack? And they say, hey, wait a minute. You can't stop the machines. This is where we're stealing everything.
Now you listen to me. I want trading reopened right now. Get those brokers back in here. Turn those machines back on. Turn those machines back on.
So those are the Democrats in Pennsylvania, Randolph and Mortimer Duke, greedy billionaires who are looking to steal one more day of power, one more dollar that belongs to somebody else. The Democrat Party is openly trying to steal. Now, the headline, this is also a Fox News story, Pennsylvania Democrats openly admit to counting illegal ballots in McCormick-Casey race. And Casey has not conceded because he's a Democrat, and he'll steal whatever he can steal. Whatever isn't screwed to a very heavy table will be taken by the Democrats when they just stroll by. So Pennsylvania Democrats openly admit counting illegal ballots in McCormick-Casey race. Ongoing disputes in the Senate race between declared winner, the Republican Dave McCormick, and incumbent, the Democrat Bob Casey, who has not conceded, concern whether disqualified ballots should be counted. Well, I think that's kind of self-explanatory, isn't it? They're disqualified ballots. And we all know that disqualified ballots should not be counted because they've been disqualified. See, these are words in the English language that the Democrats use but do not understand, or they're so filthy corrupt that they just... So as the contested Pennsylvania Senate race barrels toward a $1 million recount, Democratic officials in a few blue counties are openly admitting to counting disqualified ballots in defiance of state law and court orders. But they could care less. The Associated Press, because they're criminals and they should be in handcuffs. The Associated Press has called the race for Republican Senator-elect Dave McCormick, who currently holds a 26,000 vote lead over incumbent Democrat and crook Bob Casey. But Casey has refused to concede because he's a criminal and is an election denier and is like Stacey Abrams. He should go camping with Stacey Abrams. Don't you? She still thinks she's the governor of Georgia or something. These are like third world people. These are the people of the third world. And Bob Casey's just another left-wing radical third worlder who's here to destroy the United States of America. In the name of saving democracy, they had to destroy it. But Casey has refused to concede and insisted that every vote be counted. Every vote has been counted. All the legal votes, all the votes that haven't been disqualified. And they're thinking they can make up 26,000 ballots by counting illegal votes that the Supreme Court has already ruled to be illegal, and they've been disqualified. The close margin within 1 percentage point triggered an automatic recount under Pennsylvania law. Yet the critical question is which votes should be counted. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled before the election that mail ballots lacking formally required signatures or dates. So the Democrats, they've got ballots. They're not dated and they're not signed. And the Democrats are like, screw that. We're counting them anyway because we are a crime wave and we will steal whatever we can steal. So don't even talk to me. That's the complete statement by the Democrats there. Yeah, the critical question is which ballots? The mail-out ballots that have no signatures, that have no dates, should they be counted? The Democrats say, hell yeah, because those are the ones that we just gathered up. They're not signed. We can't verify that they're legitimate ballots. They're not dated. We can't verify they came in before the election. However, Democratic officials in Philadelphia and surrounding Bucks County, Centre County, and Montgomery County are ignoring that court order that literally the FBI should come with battering rams like they do for Catholics and pro-life grandmothers. And they should use battering rams to knock down their doors in pre-dawn raids with CNN camera crews across the street capturing it all. Amazing stuff. Yes, see, you got Bucks County Commissioner Diane Ellis Marseglia. It's Diane Ellis Marseglia. And she's a Bucks County Commissioner where they're stealing all the votes. She said, I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country. That's what she said, because she's a communist who would steal your baby's full diapers. She is an awful, horrible person. Just amazing stuff. All right, let's go to some audio here because I'm already talking over stuff that we have an audio to. Let's go to soundbite number 1. That's our first soundbite today. Bucks County Democrat Commissioner on the rule of law. I was just reading from this crazy lady. The law does not matter to Democrats because they're the party of crime.
We reject all 3 categories of these ballots.
Your motion is to reject or dismiss the challenges in this category in front of you?
Correct, yep.
I'm not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
The FBI should pay attention to it. You should be in handcuffs. The state police should pay attention to it. She is flagrantly, openly violating the law in an effort to steal votes in order to steal 1 Senate seat, to get them 1 vote closer. And that's what criminals they are. And Diane Marseglia is a criminal, and she brags about being a criminal because, see, that's what criminals do. They break the law knowing that they're breaking the law, and that's what Di is doing here. That's what Diane is doing. She just amazing. Yeah, and that was the Republicans starting it off there, Bob Harvey, saying, hey, we can't count these votes in these categories, not signed, not dated, not legal, been disqualified. And she's like, screw that. Everybody violates the law in this country, so I'm going to violate the law, and we're going to violate the law. That's what she's saying. Now, there's a news reporter in the state of Pennsylvania by the name of Selena Zito. Selena Zito has been paying attention to all this, paying very close attention because she's covering the story, and she's a newswoman, and she was on the television last night. She was on the television last night talking about what the Democrats are doing in defiance of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, Pennsylvania law, what has already been adjudicated at the Supreme Court in the state. It could go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and then I hope that would lead to the arrest of Dianne Marseglia.
The state Supreme Court, which is 5-2 Democrat majority, literally wrote it in all caps, like saying, you guys, we've told you this already, and you're doing it, and so we're going to tell you again, like they were 7-year-old children.
Like they're 7-year-old children. And the Supreme Court, I didn't know that the Supreme Court had written it in all caps. That's pretty funny, because Supreme Courts don't normally do that like you're yelling at somebody. But Selena Zito, she's paying attention.
Even if they were able to count all the illegal votes, it doesn't matter. McCormick still would win by about 10,000 plus.
So they don't care about who's actually winning. They just want to steal the votes. And didn't they bring President Trump up on charges because when he spoke to a Georgia official, he said, find me 1,172 votes or whatever the number was. And they're like, oh, no, that's it. He's stealing the election. This woman, there should be airstrikes on her neighborhood. And then a SEAL team should go in and pull her out of her window and drag her away in restraints, all kinds of restraints, leg restraints, ankle restraints, wrist restraints, I think all of them. Isn't that amazing? Your Democrat Party. That's what they do. We have the FEMA people targeting Republicans and Trump supporters with Trump signs in their backyard, in their front yards, rather, saying that they can't get the services of the federal government because they're communists and they'd come and kill your dog. Just threw the dog thing in there because. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Dave, calling from the great state of Idaho. Dave, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's great to talk with you this morning. I really miss Rush Limbaugh because of the humor he brought to everything that was going on in the news. There was some rotten stuff going on, but he had a way of presenting it, and I really appreciate the way you bring humor into your show.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you very much. What's not funny about all this?
Yesterday you were talking about this lawsuit that Giuliani had to go through. They gave the women $148 million for, was it defamation? Is that what they called it?
That's correct, yes.
Well, isn't it defamation what Debbie Blavin-Schultz said about Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes, slander and defamation, saying that she's a Russian asset. Yeah, I think you're right about that, yeah.
On national television, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering if they got $148 million for being accused of miscounting votes, what could she get of being called a Russian asset on national television?
Yeah, being called a traitor, a U.S. military officer, Tulsi Gabbard, currently in the Army Reserves as a lieutenant colonel. And she's being called by Democrats, members of Congress, a Russian asset, and by Hillary Clinton, a Russian, and that is slanderous, that is malignant, and you're absolutely right, she should sue them. And it would be fun to sue them for $148 million just to make the point.
Yeah, I truly hope she does that. And also, who was it that called Pete Hegseth a known white supremacist because of his tattoo?
Yeah, Cheryl Eiffel on MSDNC. That's absolutely correct, yeah. They bring these people on to slander you, and it's completely consequence-free as long as you're a communist. Doesn't that look like it's the case, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I hope they lawyer up against him. I don't know how you can stop it if you don't go after him.
No, you're 100% right. Dave, you're calling from Idaho, where people still have common sense, where common sense is still common. You got to make sure that you don't get overrun by people fleeing the crazy states. Oh, speaking of which, Dave, thank you for the call. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention a discussion I was having at Newsmax yesterday about illegal aliens and sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. the effect that may have very, very soon coming up.
I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want.
I mentioned that there are headlines all over the world about World War III coming our way because Joe Biden and the Democrat warmongers, the military-industrial complex people, the Democrats, they haven't really gotten us into any wars if you don't count the American Civil War and World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Other than that, not a lot of action. And now, out of Hindustan, the Hindustan Times, India, the empire. The headline is, Sweden, Finland urge citizens to get ready for war, as Biden accused of triggering World War III with missile decision. That's the headline in the Hindustan Times today because Joe Biden and the Democrats are a gang of warmongers. As you know, the Obama-Biden administration bombed and attacked more countries during the 8 years of Obama than any White House, any president since World War II. Since FDR and Harry Truman were dropping bombs during World War II, Harry Truman, Democrat, dropping 2 atomic bombs on Japan. And that won the war real good, got to say. Wah, wah, wah. I never got to that story about the ship that we discovered in the Pacific Ocean the other day. That was one of those too much stuff stories, but it was a good story about the Japanese beheading people and stuff because they did a lot of that. But Sweden is distributing over 5 million leaflets to its citizens, offering them clear-cut instructions on how to get ready for the prospect of war. This is Sweden. Thank you very much. In response to mounting concerns over a conflict with Russia, Sweden distributing the leaflets to its citizens because they're all getting ready for World War III, Russia, because Joe Biden.